Hey guys, Tyler here. Just letting you know, this week we recorded a 5-Minute Friday and it ended up being like a 40-minute conversation. So whenever I intro the podcast with welcome to 5-Minute Friday, please don't be confused. You're in the right place. It is a Wednesday episode and it is 40 minutes long. So thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to 5-Minute Friday, everybody, where we share our best tips and tricks to help you get just a little bit better every week. And this week we are talking about a moment of realization. All right, Eddie. So we posted something on LinkedIn, if you haven't seen it, and then it was a clip from us talking about detailing, right?
You.
And yeah, well,
You sharing
I was sharing and how difficult that job is. When we shared that, like, it's probably the best performing post that we've had to date. But when you go through and you read the comments, it's eye-opening. Like it's crazy to see how many people in the detailing and structural detailing or BIM or whatever feel just kicked in the head often. And you're still in this role, right? I've moved on. I'm doing story builder stuff, but you're still in this detailing role, and it really hits you. So let's talk about that today.
How much time you got? Read the comments on the post, and I'm reading one after another about high blood pressure, about people that have lost their teammates to heart attacks very young, people that are saying, yeah, I had to move the country because the doctor told me that I had to. I got to change something up. There was one after another, where I'm reading about health conditions, real health conditions that have resulted from the stress and anxiety of this job. And I read it, man, and there was kind of a moment there where I'm not going to say I got completely choked up, but definitely like a little lump in my throat where I'm going, wow. You know, I remember being in the doctor's office at 35 and them telling me, you've got high blood pressure. You're probably going to have to go on blood pressure medication. And just thinking, I'm running half marathons right now. Why? Like, why would I have high blood pressure? I don't understand. And like going through a pretty deep season of anxiety, which I've shared in the past. And then thinking like, why am I anxious? Why am I stressed? I don't understand. All of this has just created a moment of clarity and a moment of realization that, okay, I've been validated. This job really is that stressful.
I've been trying to validate you too on this because, like, outside looking back in, man, it's a difficult job, and this is one isolated instance of construction being hard, being really difficult that often gets overlooked. Construction as a whole is very difficult.
Yeah,
like it's very stressful. There's a lot of moving parts. We know this.
yes.
You're in the industry,
and you're going to make mistakes.
You are going to make mistakes.
And detailers and BIM modelers and people that actually see their stuff go directly in production and construction, and there's money tied to it. Yeah. It is a job that you're struggling the whole way because you got a lack of information, and you're struggling the whole way to get a good product out. And then you get the good product out and you forget one thing. And that's what you hear about. Like, you probably don't get, hey, good game. You get, we messed this up.
Yeah.
And we messed that up, and do better. And you live in fear. You live in an anxious state. And I've got like three things I want to throw out. It's just, I'm a steady flow of war movie and sports analogies. So
just keeping it light and airy today. That's on the podcast. Right. And also, guys, this isn't going to be 5 minutes. This one might be 20.
It's not going to be 20, but I'll move through. There's a moment in the movie We Were Soldiers where there's a guy calling in airstrikes. And I think we've even covered this on the show before, but the guy's calling in airstrikes and the bombs drop, and he called it in wrong. Hal Moore looks up. He's the main character. He looks up and he sees the airplane coming in and bearing down on them. And he knows, like, they have called it in wrong. And he screams, "You wave that guy off." And they try, but it's too late. And the bombs drop, and the friendly fire takes the lives of U.S. soldiers. And it's just this sad, somber, horrific moment. And the guy that calls the airstrikes in is looking at it in horror. And Halmore looks at him and immediately goes, "That's all right, son. You keep calling those strikes in, just like we taught you." He picks him back up and immediately encourages him and gets him back to work. He's like, "That's going to happen." And he draws him back to the thing at hand. There's something to be learned there. Another example in the miniseries, The Pacific, there's a moment, it's in one of the last shows, where the main character is called upon to call in a mortar strike on a hut. He calls in the mortar strike and he does it well. And they take out the hut. About 2 days later, the line is able to advance. This is actually, I believe, on Okinawa. If any Karate Kid fans are out there, there are murmurings of the battle that happened on Okinawa. This is the battle on Okinawa. They advance very slow. 2 days later, they get to the hut and they find a family. This is a civilian hut. And again, the horrors of war. Guy looks at the results of what he did, and they even find a baby in the hut that's still alive. And it's a sad, somber, horrific moment that makes you reflect. The thing that happens then is very different from what happened with Hal Moore. His superior officer walks in and said, "What are you doing? Y'all get out of here. Come on, let's go. We got to move on." No moment of realization that he needed to pick his man up. It was just like, hey, keep moving. So that's story number 2. Here's the third one. So the other night, I'm watching the end of the Bengals-Chiefs game. I hadn't watched the whole game, but it was a tight game. We flipped it on because it's like, let's see how it ends. Not a big NFL fan, not like a huge Bengals fan or anything like that. Kind of grew up one, but Cincinnati roots. So I know Houday and all that. But one of the guys, like his linebacker, he's making just one amazing play after another. And the announcer actually takes time to praise his play in the game. It was something I noticed. A play later, it was Patrick Mahomes rolls out towards the sideline. And this guy, just in a moment of frustration, the same linebacker that's had an amazing game, he reaches out and he shoves the guy. Good, he shoves Mahomes. He's a good full, stride out of bounds. You first see it, you're like, "Oh, come on, that's not it." And then you look at it and you're like, "Nah, he really did shove him, and he really was out of bounds." And you realize, man, that's going to be costly. And then you realize that 15-yard penalty, I think it was 15 yards, puts them in field goal range. And is essentially the thing that just like, it's the nail in the coffin for the game. Guy kicks the field goal, Bengals lose, Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. And that guy is over, a big old guy, and just, impressive guy. And he's blubbering on the sideline like he's got his chin strap over his eyes so people won't see him crying. And his teammates are coming up around him one after another, encouraging him. One after another, you see the back slaps. You see it's okay, man. It's okay. Pick your head up. It's okay. And then, if you've been on social media, you might have seen the interviews, the after-game interviews, that he's got a teammate next to him in the interviews, like basically watchdogging for him, like not letting the media come after him. It's a tenured player that's done the interview thing and has had him come after him. And he's protecting him. He's standing up for his man. All of that, all of those things together just really brought me to a moment of reflection, because I'm like, man, our industry looks a whole lot more like that example from the Pacific than it does the example from We Were Soldiers or the example from Bengals Chiefs game.
Yeah.
Where we're not picking each other up. We don't pick each other up after a mistake. Nobody's there to say, "Hey, man, you get them next time. You'll get them next time. Did you learn something? Good. You'll get them next time. It's going to be okay. We're going to recover. It's going to be okay. You just learned something." We don't do that. In sports, we do that all the time. And it's funny how sports-laden construction can really be. There are a lot of guys in construction that played a lot of sports. And you got taught that.
And we forgot how to be a good teammate somewhere along the line, right?
We've been taught this, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, we learned this from youth sports. We learned this. This is good sportsmanship. This is This is solid citizenship. This is just seeing another person. We talk so much about having these people skills, but then when it comes down to the times that are hard, what we actually demonstrate and allow to come out when the crap bucket gets kicked over ain't pretty. We're ruthless to one another. And then we wonder, as an industry, why are suicide rates so high? We highlight a lot of this stuff, and some of it, unfortunately, because we've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the anxiety, depression side of things has been real in the lives of the people that are, us and close to us.
Yeah.
It saddened me, but it also made me go, hey, I'm not alone. And it made me go to our team this morning and tell them, guys, you get it what you do. This is your slap on the back. This is just a moment to encourage them. Guys, you're good at what you do. You are good at what you do. And even if you make a mistake, like what you do every day is amazing. You keep it up. You keep doing what you do. Keep getting better. Learn from those mistakes, but let's keep moving. Let's not dwell there. Don't let those other people beat you down. Like I'm going to stand up to the media. It might be my job as a leader and a boss to play the part of that teammate that's tenured and is not going to let it happen. Is not going to give them an inch. No, you're not going to ask them that anymore. We're going to move on to the next question. This has been handled. It's done. We got to stick up for each other. There's way too many times that we throw the person under the bus and we feel just fine about it. And I'm sorry, that's not leadership. And I'm sorry, that's not changing how we work. And that is not building trust. And that is none of what we have touted, talked about, encouraged people to do here. It's not encouraging. It's not helpful. And so I think the industry's got to change a person at a time, a mentality at a time. And I feel you if you've been in it for a long time and you've been beaten up a lot and you've gotten yourself even to a place that might be like really tough. I feel you. And I think that's what resonated about that post. Whether that like went anywhere or not, I mean, I didn't expect it to. I even said that in a side post. I reposted the thing and I was like, man, when I saw this, it was like, yeah, detailing. Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about detailers. And then it popped. And I went, oh, wait a minute. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. There are other people that are dealing with this. This is their day. Yeah, maybe a 20-minute, 5-minute, but dude.
I told you. And I think it's okay because I don't know, like when we were sitting down at lunch and we were talking through some of this stuff, like, I mean, it's really striking. Like we try our best to like curb stomp each other almost, you know what I mean? Like you screw up and it's like all guns get pointed at you and it's you're under fire. Nobody there to protect you.
Maybe.
And so that's a really good way of looking at it, I think, because it's very accurate to the ways that I have felt over the years.
Maybe we can spin this up into something and just say, oops, we meant it to be a 5-minute, but it actually turned into a coffee with the bros. Because there was another element of this that I saw a number of people that were overseas detailers that were chiming in.
Yeah.
And that was a moment of reflection too. Because as an American detailer, many times the knee jerk is to not see a human being that's sitting somewhere in an actual office and trying to provide for their family too.
Right.
But to see the thing that I need to protect, and that's my thing and my own. And I can get pretty ruthless about that, being like, whatever your opinions are about offshoring work, that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the human beings that I saw on the post that work in conditions that are pretty tough. Because there are some situations, not in the United States, there are a lot worse work environments than what we deal with, and a lot worse mentalities than what we deal with. So my heart kind of went out to some of those guys and girls that I'm like, that pressure that we feel is still there. And even the pressure of like losing your job very fast, because when you're working in a production shop that's charging like bottom of the barrel rates,
Mhm.
there's no room for you to have a little like extra time for ping pong. There's no room for you to lift your head up. And if you do, somebody's on you. There's no room for you to make an error or you're gone. Like you're working at fear that if you mess up, you lose your job.
Well, I
Done.
mean, yeah, and that was the case. I mean, we always come back to Dennis and, you know, him talking about what it was like in years past.
Yeah, why's your head up?
Why's your head up? You know, like he used to work in a shop where he had to be over the board and he was drafting all day long. And if his head popped up and he would go talk to somebody, then they had the taskmaster over there saying, "Hey, what you doing? What you doing?" And
I hear that. So there's a thing there though. The information that you're taking in when your task for the day is draw that beam. Like as a team, we're all working together. And this was a
Yeah.
point that was made in our team meeting earlier. Like people used to be a lot more together, working on a thing together. And so the product felt like it was brought forth together, right? So you're all in this little spot and you share a plate and like you're a lot more head down about things. And just drawing beams all day, drawing like literally, like physically drawing beams, physically drawing columns, physically drawing angles. The task isn't nearly as complex. The variables of that is like, if I don't know what to do, I throw up my hand, I ask my foreman, and I say, which beam would you like me to try next, Mr. Foreman?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, okay, now I've got to figure out how to wrangle a bunch of personalities. Like, if I'm the guy that's drawing the beams, the chances that I'm the guy that actually has to be in direct report to the shop is thin. So it's just there's a format change that's happened since those days too, that changes what that would have been like. Yes, there was kind of a taskmaster mentality about the work, but we've added an element. And the element is velocity. The information has increased. So it's like we've got the same bandwidth, like the pipeline of humanity, of our
it's the same thing.
Yeah, like we are the
Hasn't
same
changed.
kind of people.
Yeah.
But we're forcing a volume of information at a velocity unheard of into that same pipe.
Yeah.
And the pipe breaks. That's anxiety. That's depression. We're forcing a volume and a velocity that it's difficult. It is really difficult. And for the overseas companies, like I know there's elements there. And I saw some commenting that I was like, you know, they've lost friends in their shop.
One person said they had lost five people in their shop. And yeah.
What is that? You've lost 5 people to heart attacks?
Yeah, is basically he said about 5 of my colleagues died of heart attacks due to stress.
Go down through a few more of those. Read a few more of the things that get said. I mean, yes, the whole obsessing over it and having sleepless nights. Our buddy Chris Kiak commented on that.
Chris Kiak, yeah, he said
and that. And it gets reacted to and commented on by a lot of people that feel the same way. And I'm like, yep, done it.
Somebody else getting out of bed at night to turn on the PC to check it out.
Yeah,
done it.
Like actually getting up to do something.
I remember I've woken up at 4
perils of working at home.
That too. Yeah.
Perils of working at home because I can actually do that. It's not at work. That's one of the things I say is that thank God I get to leave it there.
Yeah.
Because if I was just next to it all the time, I don't think that it would go well.
Daniel Lewis, most of the older detailers I've worked with over the years were on some type of maintenance medication, high blood pressure, diabetes, ulcers, heart problems. The list goes on. The stress and long hours sitting at a board, it's basically at a board or a computer, will get you one way or another. That one hit hard for me.
Diabetes seems weird, but
yeah.
I'm talking to Eric and he's like, yeah, that's weird. We had like 3 guys pop up in our shop at random with diabetes all of a sudden. I'm like, stress does weird things, man. Stress does really weird things.
Yeah.
Detailing is like taking a math test every day. You must get a 100, but the test is incomplete. The questions have errors. The clock is ticking just like in school. And you hear those dreaded words, pencils down. If you don't get 100%, no matter what it is, missing a stub figure or weld symbol, the shop has to shut down. Even the janitor and the entire critical path of the project has been upset or so they make it sound. If the mistake is big enough, you're expected to pay monetarily for the things that are not even in your scope and you never agreed to furnish, like crane time, field labor, and materials. These are the things that come back and get thrown in your face.
Yeah.
These things, I read them, they made me say, all right, y'all, because I'm Southern, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah. It's like, okay, it's great to know these things. And I don't want it to just be like, well, you guys just don't understand how hard it is to be a detailer. Okay. It is hard to be a detailer.
Yeah, wah. Okay, whatever. Okay. Work. Right?
Work. Just in general. Like this could be all sorts of different ends of the industry, man. Like this is not just detailing. This is all the way through the freaking industry.
Yes.
We treat each other like absolute crap.
Yes.
And we don't take care of our health. Like I was in a shop a couple weeks ago doing a shoot out there, and it was striking to me the number of people that are out there chain smoking, like just smoking like chimneys out in the shop, right? All day, every day. They're physically exhausted by the time they go home. They haven't taken care of their health because they're running up to the gas station during breaks, grabbing some Monsters and a Reese's cup or whatever, and like they're not physically treating themselves well. And then they go home at night, and what do? They drink.
Probably drink because you're trying to come down.
Exactly. I've had a hard day. I've earned it.
Well, okay. So this is science, right? I mean, like when we endure stress, it becomes harder to put things off that are tempting us. Yeah. So like, that's why, like for me in the morning, that's my most disciplined time. If you endure a full day and that day is very stressful, you're like way more likely to eat ice cream at night. You're way more likely to say, I deserve that.
Right.
You're way more likely. You're way more likely to say, I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to have two.
Yeah.
Nah, it's been a hard day. I'm going to have. You're way more likely to indulge in whatever behavior it is that you're trying to cope with.
Mm-hmm.
And it falls back on top of itself, because if I drank last night, then I kind of feel like trash. I don't sleep well. So I caffeinate to try to get through the day. I'm more likely to eat trash. It's the cycle. We talked about it again and again. Like, what busts the cycle? Like, I can't make all of construction not stressful. I can't do that.
I can't make everybody stop smoking or eat well or all of those things. You can't.
Fine. The deal is, though, on an individual basis, if we're aware of the fact, like, we challenge y'all, go encourage somebody today. Like, just go find somebody and encourage them. The challenge behind this episode, challenge behind this. I would like you to try to be cognizant of the fact that maybe you can't control the way people are treating you. But if you find yourself in any kind of team environment, be that teammate that stands up for the guy next to you. What I think you'll find once you start being that guy is people will mirror that behavior back to you.
Yeah.
If you're the guy that sticks up for absolutely everybody around you, if you're like, yeah, they made a mistake, but we're not going to beat on them about it, so put the sticks away. If you're that guy, everybody is going to come to your aid later because they're going to want to be that for you. If you're the one that has the wherewithal to just say, no, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say something that is going to stop the lynch mob.
Be the person there for your brother or sister.
Yes.
With the arm out saying, stop. Crap happens. And if one of your subs screws up, it's not a time to attack, honestly. Like Jocko talks about taking a step back, detaching. Detachment is huge. And that in detailing taught me that. Because what happens, right? Like crap comes in, you get an email, you get a phone call that's accusatory. What is the last thing you do? Like you do not do this. You do not immediately answer. Like sometimes you're on the phone, you can't help it.
Give it a moment.
You gotta remind yourself, detach, take a step back, go take a walk.
Stay above the situation.
Stay above it.
Yeah.
If you engage, you're not helping things. And guess what you're doing in that too? Is if you don't detach and you go and you start beating on that person that just came at you, you just caused a ripple.
Yep.
In that person's day and in your day. That ripple in that person's day will ripple out into their entire team. And the ripple that you make because you're pissed will go back out into your team too. Both crap buckets just got pushed over because you both just knocked heads.
Well, and you remember it for life. You could probably summon the emotion that you had when you were in a shouting match with somebody. Like
I remember it vividly.
Yeah,
every single one of them.
I can think of one right now that I'm thinking like, geez, if I ever cross paths with that guy again, it's going to be a tough one.
Right.
But I also know people that I've been frustrated at.
Yeah.
And I mark them and I treat them a certain way because I've marked them. So whether their current behavior merits it or not, my emotional immaturity
that is what it is.
Creates an opportunity for me to not human well.
Not human well.
And I need to be a better human.
Yeah.
This takes effort, y'all. We follow the trends of what we see around us naturally. We mirror the behaviors of the people around us. Like there's a thing that we do as a construction industry and see as like, that's construction. That's construction. And it's like, but we're changing construction. And in order to change construction, people are going to have to start acting differently, which means that you are going to have to be the one to start acting different than everybody around you.
Right.
Because you're not going to see this behavior prevalent. That's what we're saying. It's not prevalent behavior. So don't look around you to try to figure out how you should act. Act right. Treat the people around you like you want to be treated. If you want to be stuck up for, stick up for them. If you want to be encouraged, encourage them. If you want to be given the benefit of the doubt, give them the benefit of the doubt. We want everybody else to judge us on our intentions, but we judge everybody else on their actions. Wally said that when he's on the show with us.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like we have a mentality of how we want to be treated, but we treat others a different way. Don't do that thing. Think about it. You're not going to be perfect, but I'm saying like when you get done and you're like, oh, geez, fell off the wagon again. Well, then pick it back up and don't do it again. And humble yourself. Walk across the room and be like, dude, I should have been more encouraging than that. If you got somebody that you have kicked in the last week, in the last month, and any portion of time that you're still bothered by it, like is this just doing something in your gut? Go do something about that and rectify that relationship. Go manage that.
Go apologize.
Yeah, humble yourself and say, sorry.
Go figure that out. And if they react poorly to it, or they try to rub your nose in it, it's okay. Like just, again, detach and say, noted, and just let it lie. But get that out. Like just go be the bigger person. Go and apologize. Because I'll be honest, I haven't done it.
Hey,
there are multiple times where I've had screaming matches with people and I didn't rectify the situation.
Sometimes there are situations too where you weren't the one infracting the thing, but you were the one that sat beside it and laughed at it.
Yeah.
You encouraged the behavior.
Yeah.
Which makes you complicit. So I mean, just take responsibility. These are basic things that we're taught in grade school that we should do. But they're not easy.
No.
So this is us reinforcing that. And the other one, like don't lie, which brings us back to this isn't going to take 20 minutes, Tyler. I can do this in 5.
I knew it was going to be a full
I
episode.
lied. So I'm sorry. I just need, I got some junk to get off of my chest today. This is feeling heavy.
There are therapists for that, but
anyway, isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah, I'll give you my bill.
Got the worst therapist on the planet. All right. Well, I think that if we don't say anything else, I can stop now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you got it all out.
That's not what I said just then. No. I said, I think if we stop talking, that I think I can stop now.
Okay. Okay. So,
If we start talking again, what I'm saying is that I will.
but you're talking now, so you need to just stop.
I guess what I'm saying is this
Okay.
could go on for 2 hours. You probably need to put a stop to it.
Okay, we probably need to stop this now. I think it's been 40 minutes, something like that. Yeah, there's a lot in this, guys. Well, there's your 5-minute Friday.
This is airing on a Wednesday. We need to just
this is a Wednesday episode.
Joke's on you. You thought it was we aired the wrong thing on the wrong day, and actually it was just for you to have this Easter egg, because congratulations, you made it to the end.
All right, guys. Well, I think that there's a lot there, and in no way do we have this all figured out, but all we can do is observe, bring it to you, stew over it. You said you were done. You said you were done talking.
I've got the best closeout for this episode.
Oh gosh. All right.
I'm going to spin it. Can I close this out?
Eddie can close this out. I apologize in advance. See, I'm the problem, guys. It's me. Anyway, Eddie, I encourage you to close us out.
Thank you, Tyler.
You do such a good job on this podcast. Like,
all right,
really,
don't ruin it.
I couldn't do this.
Don't cheapen it.
Without you.
Don't cheapen it.
Here in the room with me. I couldn't do it.
All right, guys, you have a good week and go treat somebody awesome.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good one.
There you go.